All right. So you want the open?
Well, yeah, I think the main thing here is we're starting this thing right now.
We've already started. Welcome back in. Part 2 of our Dome download. Of course, the Dome had so many football games going on up there, Binger, so we had to break this into 2 sections. Last episode, I should say, we caught up with the smaller schools, the 8-player A, 1A, 2A.
8-man's always easier to say, but 8 players.
It is 8-player.
Yeah.
Don't forget, there are plenty of girls out there playing in some 8-player teams, so it's fun to watch. But today we're going to highlight 3A, 4A, 5A, and some really fun games there, obviously, some great matchups. And we'll get to those in a second, but we can't do this without, of course, some of the sponsors that are helping us out with that. And, of course, what we're doing here at Bing Bang.
You know, and that's what's cool is we will want to get more people involved, and we always do. And we talked about those relationships, but Friday Night Blitz, Iowa Football Coaches Association, Iowa High School Sports Network. So we're lucky to be partners with a lot of great people. And I do think, 24 years of the Friday Night Blitz. And actually, I've been at every game in the Dome, one less year than that because I started a year later when I started. But, you know, started going to games in 1983, 84. Right. It's just fun that I've had that opportunity, and and to connect with some of these great people. We'll talk about some of them, but you know, Midwest Wheel was one of them that kind of jumped on board. Total Quality. You got some information there.
Total Quality, family-owned lawn care company right here in Central Iowa. Again, make sure you check in with Charlie and the crew over there. They do a great job, and obviously proud to have them on board with us.
Had some good coaching moments that we showed and shared, and lots of good feedback on that.
Then Iowa Radiology, plus the Coach of the Year, Iowa Radiology, and Hy-Vee. Obviously, Hy-Vee's statewide, regional-wide now. And
they've been part of our Dome Dynasty package for the last couple of years, and Iowa Radiology's just got a bunch of great experts inside their walls, no matter what you need checked out. If it is something to do with a high school injury and you're not sure, lots of good doctors there, and you know, you got to get checked out. Early detection's huge, and a company that serves from the heart. Don't forget our own company here at Bing Bang. I mean,
you got to shout out Bing Bang. Obviously, any marketing needs, check out, reach out to Melanie Lane. She's our.
Do you like my Better Call Mel graphic?
Better Call Mel, as Binger so commonly says around here. But she's going to set you up. Anything you need, we do everything. Full service marketing agency. Some great minds, some great creatives, some great managers in here that'll serve you the way you need. We're basically an extension of your marketing department if you need us to be, or heck, you just need a one-off video, some sizzle. You need some sizzle at the end of the year here.
Yeah, we need some sizzle.
Yeah, we want to create some sizzle for you or some flair, so let us know too. We have a lot of fun.
I recommend that you call Mel today and have John come do some drone.
Let her know Binger and John sent you. That goes to our bonuses, right, Binger? We're working that in with your brother right now.
Yeah, and then and we want to thank Grace too, because she did this, you know.
All these scoreboards, graphics, she's killing it over there. And social media, Shelby's got you handled on social media.
Yeah, we've got everything.
We got everything.
And Shelby's a really big part of our download normally, so we didn't include her. We were going to include her, and then we didn't, so she's probably mad at me, but I talked about her last.
You did, yeah. And
the Midwest Wheel. We talked about the Midwest Wheelers. Yeah. We featured some of those. We'd find a good run during a game, and you got a chance to go over there and see what Bender and the guys are up to. What an operation!
A lot of truck parts, a lot of accessories, a lot of whatever you might need.
There's men and women that need parts. They're going to Midwest Wheel.
Yeah, and they were busy when we were over there, so it was pretty cool to see great people though. First and foremost, over there in the east side of Des Moines.
Yeah, I'm proud to work with you on that onboarding video that we're doing. I got to show you some of that later. It's pretty cool. And coming up will be Murphy Tower as well. We did their high flyers, which I don't know what exactly the high flyer was.
It was the air out. I think it was the best air play or pass play of the game, and we had quite a few of those too.
We did. We'll highlight some of those coming up. But back to the Wheeler, and we have some of those that we'll talk about as well. But then Wyckoff Heating and Cooling, one of the best around, and they're a big part of our Ed Thomas Faith Family and Football Award. They're a part of that. We appreciate them. When you go to find them on the web, though, this is the thing. I'm not always the best at spelling, but WYCKOFF. Comfort.
Down there in Carlisle.
Wyckoff Comfort. Yeah.
Now, what's the ice cream place across the street? Tell me.
No, I'm not going to tell you. That'll be a trivia question on the next one.
Yeah. If you know, remind me. Carlisle, I never went there because I was always busy doing my job.
They have great sandwiches, but I'm not going to bring them up till they sponsor us.
Well, I mean,
I don't want to give them any pub.
They deserve a shout out. They have great ice cream from what I'm told. So, anyway,
let's get right to the first class. What are we doing first, John?
Well, this looks like we got 3A pulled up. So Bishop Heelan taking on Creston in that first semifinal. 16-13, really good game. Creston getting back there. Really impressive stuff out of them, but Heelan was a really good football team this year, too.
John LaFleur, a graduate of Bishop Heelan and played at Iowa. You know, I think he's just getting back to their roots, and I think sometimes it's hard to connect legacy these days if you've fallen off a little bit. I think that's what we were talking about Marty Wadley in our first download. Yep. To get that back is really emotional, and I think LaFleur is just amazing. Kudos to him for getting those kids back and back into the title game.
And then on the other side of that, Williamsburg beat Solon 45-14. Now, Williamsburg, keep in mind, Solon had won 5 titles. Williamsburg hadn't won one, but they've been close a number of times.
Boy.
So then to get to the title game and finally get over that hump, I think that was just a huge thing for Coach Ritchie. Obviously a 20-0 win over Bishop Heelan. A big injury happened there early on in this one. I can't remember the player, but it wasn't a pretty injury either, and that kind of shakes a team a little bit. At the same time, I don't know that Heelan had the goods to match up with what Williamsburg had. Just a stud of a team. So, yeah, it was a lot of fun to cover that one.
I really enjoyed how buttoned up, Heelan was. But this was definitely the most, maybe it's not the most dynamic team that Williamsburg has, but it had 4 or 5 just high-level kids. And Weisskopf, we saw him last year for the first time against Van Meter in the regular season, which was just a brawl. It was a great game. And, at that point, you're like, he's a good player, and then midway through the year, they kind of moved him to quarterback. They had these skill kids that could really fly around. And we highlighted Race Heitman as one of the high flyers in the semis. And Brandon Weegen was right there. I mean, he is phenomenal.
Yeah.
And he was even banged up, and he was kind of the high flyer in the championship game, but ended up being the player of the game. I think he had 6 balls for 121 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 3 picks in the championship game.
Not only did he do all that on offense, he had 3 interceptions too, and he was the best player on that field that day. And so that was a lot of fun to watch him. And but again, Williamsburg getting over that hump. We talked about it in the last episode. At Full Town showing up.
Yeah,
Williamsburg had everyone there.
They love their head coach, and part of that is that the Blythe factor too. Austin being back. Kurt's son, being on the staff as well. Austin's, so his grandson and Austin's son. I think this would be Blythe's first official year as a coach. So it's kind of neat to see all that, but really emotional. And so a lot of great total quality coaching moments that we showed you with Coach Ritchie. The town was behind it, but we'll end this segment really with showing off those high flyers because they had won each game. And Weisskopf basically moving from a tight end, linebacker safety that he is to just being a guy that actually really played the part of quarterback really well, and you'll see it in these highlights.
He is looking for Heitman down that right side, who catches it and is brought down at the 2. He's looking to turn the corner left side, looking for the pylon. He gets in. Touchdown, Williamsburg. They strike first. Going for the end zone and caught. Yes, it was. Quarterback. That's man open, and it is caught. It is that man again. Race Heitman. Time for Williamsburg. They're going to throw it over the top, and it is Heitman with an athletic catch. Heitman again in the end zone, and he got him. Wow. They're going to go home run again, and it's caught. Regen, touchdown. That is what they do oh so well. A 57-yard strike. Weisskopf to Regen, and Williamsburg builds on their lead.
Awesome highlights, Dave, but you forgot one thing.
What?
Kurt Ritchie caught up with him after the game.
Yeah, we were going on about it.
I mean, he's been there for how long now?
Yeah, we were talking about it.
Been so close. Well, when I talked to him, I asked him, what was it like watching his team finally raise the trophy in front of that fan section?
Yeah.
And what was fun for me to watch his reaction is he didn't go to necessarily this team, and he talked about they're a really great team. Cool. He remembers, I think it was the 01 team or early 2000s team that was so
Dustin
close.
Bathke team,
right.
yeah.
And he goes, you know, I remember that might have been our best team, and they deserved to win it that year. They didn't. We ran into a really good Emmitsburg that year, and just, you know, it didn't go our way. But then to see those guys up in the stands and what it means to those guys, what it means to everybody who's come before, you don't think of that sometimes. You know, all the people that put in the effort and we're so close, and what it means to them to see this team finally do that. It was pretty special.
So that's another total quality coaching moment. Let's see what you got.
I started thinking, I knew this would happen when I started thinking. I tried not to look in the crowd, and because what to me is it starts flashing to all the people. It's about people, right? And, you know, obviously my family, you know, my wife had to go to a football game on her wedding night, for gosh sakes. And so it just kind of went downhill from there, I guess. And my kids are, you know, they're all in on this, and then their spouses and now grandkids. And then my coaches, you know, I think that's everywhere we go. I mean, this coaching staff, some of these guys have been with me from English Valley. So, I mean, they've been there for 30 years, and half of them don't get paid. And we have 13, only 5 of them get paid. So, and they don't even say a word. And some of them I thought would maybe be done when their kids were done, but they just have been committed to us and the program, and so I consider them family, and then just the, you know, just the fans and community. I mean, I could go through 5 zillion community members, but yeah, that's really what it is. It's just about just thankful for everybody, because it's really, everybody deserves it.
So now that we're in 4A, though, why don't you just go right to the Iowa Radiology scoreboard?
Here we go. Lewis Central over North Polk, 31-5. Now North Polk getting getting to the Dome. That was a huge deal for them, obviously, and a lot of excitement. And then Western Dubuque tops Bondurant for our 28-21. So it was Lewis Central versus Western Dubuque. Lewis Central's obviously kind of one of those teams that's been on a big run as of late. Last couple of years, really kind of been a dynasty, so to speak, in their respective class. They win the state title again this year, 40-21 over a really good Western Dubuque team.
It's interesting to me watching Lewis Central through the year. They looked beatable.
Yeah.
Watching them at the Dome, they looked unbeatable.
Yeah.
So that's a credit to Coach Camrad and what he does. That Western Dubuque team and that North Polk team were good football teams, and they really took care of business. Credit to them. Brady Hetzel, their quarterback, just looked really good. They were just the best team in 4A. So congratulations to them. But as we do look back, Western Dubuque is just scary. I mean, Justin Penner is a great coach, but there's a lot of pride. And if you talk to somebody and they're from Western Dubuque, they're going to tell you about it.
Oh, yeah.
And I love that about it. But
it's kind of like Southwest Iowans.
Yeah. Well, Iowans in general, right?
Yeah.
But make no mistake about it, maybe the player or the story of the tournament was Grant Glauser. And, I mean, in the championship game, he got player of the game and they lost. But, John, I mean, we can look at it right here. I can't remember if I wrote down the stats. I think I did. 33 carries, 268 yards, 5 touchdowns in the championship game. I mean, and
that's a big
he was
day.
I think he needed 353 yards to get to 3,000 rushing yards on the year. I was like totaling that in my head. I'm like, he's not going to get it. He got knocked out of the game. Like on a play over the middle, he ran like a streak.
Right.
It was his ribs.
Okay.
And he was down for a little while.
Yeah.
And as soon as he got up, he just looking at the crowd like, I'm fine. I'm from Western Dubuque. This isn't a big deal.
No big deal at all. Tough kid.
Did a backflip in the end zone. So if you didn't see one of his Midwest Wheelers, go back on our Dome Dynasty social media and look at that, or maybe we can show it. But no doubt about it, Lewis Central, dominant.
State champs, Class 4A.
Dominant. So maybe we'll end this segment with showing some. It is. We'll highlight Lewis Central. They had some great players, and they had a couple high flyers, and let's show you one of those.
Perfect.
That's a throw on second down. They're going to play the one-on-one ball to Maker. Titans back in front.
So Class 4A, obviously, it'd be fun to see how that team might stack up against a 5A title holder. I mean, this year it was kind of weird. Southeast Polk was dominant, but I'd be curious to see, or even if you took a 4A down to a 3A level.
There's so much parity amongst the 5A this year.
Yeah.
So sometimes you get that feeling that somebody's dominant, and because of all the wear and tear, I think Polk looked like a true champion in the championship game. But before we go to the Iowa Radiology scoreboard, I'm just going to tell you, there was a couple of fantastic games up there, but one of the best games I've seen, and, you know, the 100, 200 plus that I've seen up there, that Valley Southeast Polk semifinal got my blood pumping.
It's up there, huh?
It was It was special,
Yeah.
and for a lot of reasons. And you can go ahead and run through the scoreboard, and then I'll give you some
let's run through
details on what I'm thinking.
So he's talking about this 30-27 final Southeast Polk Edges Valley in overtime, another instant classic, and then another 3-point game in the other semifinal. Total opposite though, low scoring, just juggernaut battle.
Both of them. I mean, and I loved the Ankeny Centennial game for what it was, and how hard nosed both sides were. It was phenomenal, a great matchup, and a lot of energy and enthusiasm on both sides. Good for the state of Iowa to see a school like that I've been through, that split, and then to see that passion and that that fun and competitiveness on both sides. But they lost Elijah Porter before that game, and UNI recruit, and scary deal with appendicitis. Wow. I don't know how the kids go through that, but it was a good football game. It came down to some field goals, and
then championship game, Southeast Polk Ankeny. Ankeny opens up with a kickoff return for a touchdown, and you're sitting there thinking,
Evan Erlmeyer with a Midwest Wheeler highlight of the game, just like what, and it was a fumble. It was like a little. A little juggle. It always happens that way, doesn't it?
It does. It's NFL, college. It seems like bobbled reset or bobbled kickoff, and a seam opens up. I think kids get out of their lanes a little bit on coverage, and it gets a little funky, right? And so, but after that, Southeast Polk kind of settled in quite a bit, and then laid the hammer, 49-21. Just that second half, it never felt like Ankeny was really able to get back into it.
They had a few answers early on, especially in the first half, and it looked like Polk couldn't put them away, but they did. They're very buttoned up. I mean, the Moberlys, and I mean, they've got a lot of.
Their O-line was really good, and then you mix in C.J. Phillip, who's just a dynamic runner, and he's our player of the game in that one, and so
Robbins
really
and
impressive
Zelenovich, it was pretty amazing. And kudos to them now, 3 state titles in a row, 4 state championship games in a row. Coach Zelenovich, an all-time fave. All these coaches in the CIML are, because we get to work with them so closely. But
Swenson's got to wait till next year for win number 400.
Yeah, if he'd have won both of these, he's at 398. So, and going back to that, the last 2 years, of course, their victory against Dowling last year and the going for 2. He didn't go for 2 in this one, and I agreed with him. His team was playing well, but this is the thing that I think makes programs special, or makes kids special, and I don't know how it's done, because I think sometimes in this day and age you're unable to do it. But they were down 14-0 in that first half, and they kind of hit the NOS button after Polk scored. They're like, let DeGroot just come out and hey, go ahead and do your thing, throw the ball around, and they drove all the way down and didn't get a score right before half. So it's 14-0. You're the underdog, and it's almost like, I think in this day and age, it's like probably
you can fold. You have 2 options: you fold or you battle back.
And I just want to know what you think about McGregory, because I've got some thoughts on him, but and I know that it wasn't solely based on him bringing them all the way back, because Head and Mason, I mean, they were good, but is this McGregory kid?
He's the real deal.
Is he a generational deal? Is he undervalued?
He's the kid at the Waukee game that blocked a game-tying field goal, if I recall, or something like that. Not only did he block it, he scoops and scores it then after that, and he's only a sophomore.
When I'm watching Moberly throw the out, and it's the game's in hand, they're getting ready to put it away, throws the out to Robbins, and he came out of nowhere, picks it.
Yeah. He's got the ability.
And then they throw it to him for the game-tying touchdown. They throw him a fade, and he catches it.
He reminds me of a kid for Lincoln back in the day when I was in high school. Jordan Bernstein.
I was waiting for you to say
There we go, Jordan Bernstein. Now,
and they had D-Rob there, too, at the same time.
Right, and Bernstein was a little bit different build.
Yeah, he was different.
McGregory's got length.
His ability to get across there and take that ball away from Robbins on a pretty good dart, and then just be like, throw it to me, to rise up in those, it's pretty impressive.
Moberly's an Iowa State commit. Like, you got to remember, a sophomore went and picked off probably the top, arguably
and an
the
Iowa
top
State receiver, right?
Right, yeah. And so you're looking at him, and so there's a lot of bright spots ahead for Valley. DeGroot's back next year, but then you also got to give props to Ankeny, first year head coach under Coach Bauer, and to get to the Dome and compete the way they did, typically capped them. I mean, they Dowling was supposed to be there against Polk this year, and I think a lot of people's minds. And so to not see a Dowling team there was just bizarre.
Ankeny and Ankeny Centennial just found a way.
Yeah.
Good for them.
Yeah,
especially getting beat up during the regular season. And, we'll be looking at some of our player and coach of the year in our final segments. We'll go back through the tape, and we're going to be sending out stuff to the Iowa Football Coaches Association to do that voting so that we can come up with that. But definitely our total quality coaching moment. Yeah. We're going to look at Coach Linovich, and we kind of did some behind the scenes and caught up with him after the
Coach Z.
After the 5A championship.
Yeah, I mean, like I said earlier, it's really hard to win, and everybody's well coached, everybody's got facilities, everybody, develops their kids, and so, we're going to enjoy this. We're the second team in the big class to ever do it. This program has elevated itself to an elite 5A status, and that's pretty special.
So really quick, Binger, I think you can't help but point out not only how great Z's done over there, but the products he's now has that have moved on.
Isn't that cool? And I think as a coach, when you've had success, now we can go to Zelenovich and go, well, you should have won.
Yeah, you had Proctor, you had Wampa, you had Sama, who I looked up his 247 profile or whatever. The only other Power 5 team that offered him was K-State. Otherwise, he had Eastern Michigan on there and some other MAC teams. Certainly respectable, but man, if you're some of these Midwest coaches and you're like, how did I miss on a guy like Abu Sama? Look out. I mean, as a freshman, he did what he did for Iowa State this year, so that was pretty cool. And then Caden Proctor was the highest graded offensive lineman in the championship games across all Power 5 schools this last weekend. So tip of the cap there. It says a lot about what Z does. It also says a lot about what those individuals have done to build themselves and improve themselves. And then you get a guy like Moberly who's going to go do great things at Iowa State, and you get some of these other pieces too. So
you bring up a good point too with Caden. It would be great to bring in all the O-line guys, because the O-line guys like Rick Nelson and all them, and really put pen to paper. Caden's got a long ways to go, because even Tristan Wirfs lately, when you look at the kids that have come out of our state, there's some great stories there in our state's history. We just talked about Austin Blythe, but where will Caden end up? And where I don't even want to project or do that, but I'm just saying, at every level that he's played and everything he's done, he's maxed out.
Yeah.
He is. And the thing, being lucky enough to be around those kids, is in the small doses that we have, they're just so humble and first class. And so that's been really cool. And that's kind of what, the faith family football thing's all about with Coach Thomas.
And that's an important facet of why we're doing what we do. I think Ed Thomas certainly has a profound impact on your life and just your experiences with him and the stuff you've done. And me getting to know Aaron Thomas, over the brief interactions I've had with him too, has been really special. So.
And a guy that we're going to highlight for the award is Coach Bob Howard. He had a lot of great things to say about Coach when we talked to him this fall, but he also has a great player in his program with the last name Cherry, and I mean, this kid might be one of those next kids to keep your eye on, because he's like David.
Yeah.
He's maybe the best I've ever coached, and so we'll see where he ends up. But let's take a listen. We'll wrap up our final Dome download before we do our Coach and Player of the Year at the end of the year. For this segment. So good job. We
got through it.
Yeah,
we're good.
We made it.
It's a lot of fun to talk about these guys.
Yeah. Well, let's listen in on Coach Howard.
One of his legacies to me is when you look at how many high school coaches played for Ed.
First step, okay? This is what it's all about. Now, you guys got a chance to live a dream right now, fellas. Now we get ready for the next game Monday night.
I would doubt there's another coach, high school coach, that has as many ex-players that are out coaching high school. Then that message that Ed gave them, the faith family football, which wasn't a saying, that was Ed, way before the tornadoes. I mean, way before the attention that, rightfully so, that was focused on the tornado and the community and Ed's role in that. But it was those messages went with those players.
Ready! Ready!
One of the big lessons I also got from Ed, you can be competitors and you can be rivals without having to badmouth the other guy or, hate your opponents and all that stuff. That that part was a big influence of Ed Thomas, and I think that's a big part of this award. Obviously, the faith part was huge, and there's going to be a lot of guys speak about that, and rightfully so. But it wasn't just lip service with Ed. He lived it. And before they were AP, before they were, sending teams to the Dome all the time. A lot of coaches give lip service to what kind of men they're creating. That was a big deal to him. A lot of people say it, and maybe they mean it at the time, but what do they do when push comes to shove? Ed's values and character was every day, 365 days a year. It wasn't just when cameras were on. It wasn't just when he was getting interviewed, or it wasn't for, show. He lived it.
It's gotta be against the law to look this damn good. Watch out now. Cause baby, I feel real good and I wish I would. Watch out now. It's gotta be against the law to look this damn good. Watch out now. Everybody watch out. Watch out now. I'm ready for a good time, and I came to groove. The whole band's here, and we came to move. Got a fresh haircut and 2 new shoes. We're here all night like we got nothing to lose. Coming out the jacket, cause we're turning up the heat. I wanna see you clapping when you get up out your seat. It's time to make it happen when we hit these streets. I'm coming in hot, and I can't be beat. Watch out now. Baby, watch out now.